Hi. So you are working on drafting an asylum declaration or an affidavit, essentially telling your story about why you should be granted asylum here in the United States. This video is for you to help you understand how do you do that well, how do you do that better. This can be for someone drafting that affidavit on their own, or someone whose attorney has asked them to draft it and they don't know where to start, or for attorneys who are reviewing someone else's affidavit and they want to make it better. So, the main three things that I would recommend as a former asylum officer, as a former immigration services officer, as an immigration law professor, and of course, as an immigration attorney who's been practicing for over a decade, is that you just write. And I know this sounds like very simple and straight to the point advice, but it's something where a lot of people get stuck on just starting. So they just sit in front of a blank screen. They don't know what to write. They don't know what to say. Just type. Some of the best advice that I got years ago was just, it was a friend in law school who said, I start every assignment by just typing the thoughts as they come to my head. And then I go back later and make it better. So it could be something as simple as saying, my story is sad. I was really mad when this happened. You write it down, you continue, you get all those thoughts that are in your head out onto the paper, and then you go back, and then you review it, and then you edit it. So where it says, for example, my story is sad, you'll look at that and say, okay, why is it sad? That goes into my second piece of advice. So second on writing this affidavit and making it better for asylum is answer the questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. And you should do this for almost everything you write. I have 4 children, but my 5-year-old son is so inquisitive. And if I were to tell him anything basic, such as that boy he hit his head, he would ask questions like, who hit his head? That boy. So I would have to explain who that boy is, what his name was. Why did he hit his head? He bumped into a wall. When did he hit his head? He would basically ask all the who, what, when, where, why, how questions. And that's what I want you to do, is when you're trying to explain to the asylum officer or to this immigration judge the harm that you've experienced, answer those questions. Who harmed you? Why did they harm you? What did they do? When did they do it? Where were you when it happened? How did it happen? Just go in depth answering all of those questions. And lastly, the third piece of advice, I would recommend that you make it readable. Readability can be interpreted in many ways, but essentially what I advise is that you limit this affidavit to 3 pages or less, single-spaced. You want to have short and concise sentences that are easy to follow. You want that asylum officer or this immigration judge to read it and know what you're talking about. You don't want to have long-winded points. You want to get straight to the point and make it clear. So those are 3 things that I would recommend to make your asylum story better.